So today we're going to take a real deep dive into one of the great old jazz standards from the 1920s, a tune called I'll See You in My Dreams. We're going to apply our 3-note voicings that we covered in the last lesson, so if you haven't seen that, please do go check it out. And we're going to cover some new territory as well on how to improvise over these changes. Okay, so let's get into the chords. We're going to play this in F. We're going to use our 3-note voicings on strings E, D, and G, just to plot out the basic changes first of all. Okay, we're going to start on the 4 chord, and we're going to play a B flat major 6th. Okay, then we go to the 4 minor, B flat minor 6. Okay, so that's... We then resolve to the 1, F, our major triad. We then have a single bar of E7, back to the F major triad. These little movements are just nice little ways to decorate a static chord, major to major 7 and back. Okay, so far that's the first 8 bars covered. Down to D7, 5th in the bass, G7, C7, F7, back to the B flat 6, minor 6, F, E7, 2 bars of F. Okay, then we hit an interesting point. We go to A minor 7 flat 5. I'm going to break my rule of 3-note voicings for this one. I would play it this way. It's like an E flat 6 chord with the thumb hooking over to play the A root. A minor 7 flat 5. At that point, then I would go to the D7 here, sort of like a 3-note voicing, but with the root on the B string. Back to a simple 3-note voicing for A7, and then a D minor. Again, if you're not familiar with any of this stuff, please do go check out my second lesson, where I go into quite a bit of detail on these shapes. A7 to D minor with the 5th in the bass. Then we go back to the 4, B flat 6, minor 6, C7, F, F major 7, F7. And that's it, that leads us back to the top. Okay, so here's a full playthrough. back to the top. And so on. Okay, now let me show you what you would do if you were going to end the tune. If we take it from the A minor 7 flat 5. And then F, F7, B flat 6, B flat minor 6, F with the third in the bass, C7, F6, with this George Harrison voicing. Killing the D string and the top E. Nice little ending there. If you think about the function there, you've got the 1. That becomes then the 5 of 4. 4, 4 minor, 1, 5, 1. Right, now that we've established the changes using some basic 3-note voicings, let's see if we can dress them up a tiny bit. Okay. Maybe keep this part the same. Now what I like to do with this shape quite often is the Django thing, of thickening up the bass by adding not only the 5th but the root as well. I do that by barring the tip of my 2nd finger to grab both the E and the A strings at the 5th fret. Adds a lot of bass, a lot of meat to the chord. Django, of course, would have played it like this. The thumb fretting both of those low strings. You can do it that way if you prefer. It's just nice to be able to bring in that bit of texture there. Then I play an A flat 7 ahead of the G7. Then on the G7 I'm thinking 2 5, so the G7 would be functioning as the 5, therefore the 2 would be the D minor 7. And then C7, F7, change the bass note, B7 before the B flat 6. This stuff is something I'm going to do a full lesson on next time, tritone substitution. In a nutshell, what this basically means is that we're changing the bass note of this F7 to a B, which is a tritone, 3 whole tones away from F. The top 2 notes stay the same. Okay, then B flat minor 6, maybe extend the shape by simply barring your 3rd finger across the top 3 strings. Just think texturally with this stuff. Then we have F6 to E augmented, back to F6, but with the 5th in the bass as well as the root. Again, doing that Django thing of really thickening the chord in the low end. A minor 7 flat 5, let's keep it how we had it before. D7, some simple root 5th bass stuff. A7, D minor, B flat 6, minor 6, C7. Then let's use the same turnaround as before. Okay, now the next time round I'm going to extend the chords further, make them sound bigger texturally. B flat 6 9. This is a great chord if you're into the gypsy sound at all. It can be a bit tricky if you're not used to playing it, but what we've got is the thumb on the bass string, playing the B flat, 2nd finger again, barring with the tip, getting the 8th fret of the A and the D strings, 1st finger getting the major 3rd, 3rd finger barring the top 2 strings at the 8th fret. Beautiful. Kind of one of the go-to major chords if you're playing gypsy jazz. Okay, so we're going to go from that to B flat minor 6 to F6 9. Again, a gypsy chord, but also really common in rockabilly and western swing. Root 3rd, 6th, 9, 5th. E augmented, F6. Change the bass note around a little bit. Walk down to D7 from E7. Some root 5th bass movement. tritone substitution, A flat 7 with a flattened fifth, to G7, then a classic walk up. Again, we covered this in the last lesson. This time we're going to play our B flat minor 6 by simply taking the major 6/9 and dropping the middle note, a semitone, so now we have a minor 6/9. Again, that can take a bit of getting used to. F6/9, E9, F6/9. This time I'm going to play A minor 7 flat 5 this way, to D7, to A7, to D minor, B flat 6, minor 6, C7. Same ending as before. Okay, so here's a playthrough using all of those slightly fancier chords. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of this stuff is broken down in fine detail, chord grids, tab, notation, finger numbers, everything you could need for the simple changes, for the fancier changes, for the lead stuff, the chord melody, all available for just $4.99 if you click on the link in the description underneath the video. I would suggest having that stuff to hand and use this as a companion video to talk you through the essential points. Okay, so I won't break down the chord melody portion of this. That's all on the sheets, and it's all fairly self-explanatory. It's triad based, uses triads on all string sets, so it's a really good workout. Just make sure to look at the chord name above and figure out how that triad relates to it. Okay, so let's move on to the improvised solo portion of this. I'm going to show you some simple ideas and some kind of pointers for playing over these kinds of changes. Okay, so we start off with B flat. Surprise, surprise, I'm thinking about triads with this stuff. You know, triads can become a really useful roadmap that you can locate things by. So visualize B flat, specifically these top 3 strings. This is your B flat first inversion triad, 3rd, 5th root. We start with a hammer on from minor to major 3rd, typical bluesy sound. Add the 6th along the way, and then visualize a B flat major scale here, root, 2nd, 3rd. We can chuck that minor 3rd in between the 2 and the 3 again. Really essential vocabulary, this. I mean, this stuff is just as common in country music. Okay, so the next chord, the B flat minor. We're going to do one of many, what I refer to as Djangoisms here. B flat minor 6 is the chord that we're outlining there. You want to compare all the notes you're playing to a B flat minor chord and figure out what you're spelling out. Making a point of using the 6th, as well as the 9 and the major 7. So we're kind of implying melodic minor. Okay, so next phrase, we want to resolve that to the F, which is actually our 1. We're in the key of F. We started on the 4, we went 4 minor, now we're on the 1. We're going to take an F major triad, decorate it a little bit with things like the 6th, a bit of chromaticism between the 6 and the 5, a little slide in from the minor to major 3rd again, that country thing we spoke about. Okay, so this next chord is an interesting one. In the simple changes, we treat this as E7. A quick little flirt with E7, back to the F. If we can think E7, we can likely think E augmented as well. That's going to work a lot of the time. E augmented is the same thing as C augmented. It's the same thing as C7. So we can be thinking of this as 5 of F. So really we're just going 1, 5, 1 in some ways. So that's how I'm kind of seeing this. I'm thinking of that E7 as being a relative somehow of a C7 chord, but with some alterations on it, like a sharpened 5th. And I play quite a common little altered line. If we're thinking C7, this here is your sharp 5, your 3rd, sharp 9, flat 9, root, flat 7, 5th, connecting chromatically to the 3rd of F. And then again on the F we're playing a bit more of that country stuff, really. A lot of chromatic stuff. If you can, again, this is where visualizing a triad makes life so much easier. If you can see a solid landmark of an F major triad here, and you think about decorating it with things like a 6, minor 3rd before the major 3rd, and then simply a chromatic walk up to the top note in your next F triad, makes life much easier. Okay, so now we're going to resolve that to the 3rd of D7. You want to try and anticipate the chord changes a little early sometimes to really give your playing some direction and really propel the music forward. Now on the D7, just finding what I can as I go, you know, thinking it's sort of in the realm of Charlie Christian, what he may do there. This stuff, really useful bebop and country vocabulary. Using the flat 7, again we're thinking D7 for 4 bars, so we want to create a bit of drama. Then another Djangoism, resolving to the 3rd of the next chord, the G7. Okay, so just to backtrack a little bit, if I play a bar of F, a bar of C7 altered, 2 bars of F, 4 bars of D7, that's going to sound like this. 2, 3, 4. There's the 3rd of the G7. Okay, now we're on the G7, we're going to play a Charlie Christian type of thing. G7 arpeggio. But with things like the 9 chucked in as well. And then we flatten that 9 on the way back. Sharpen the 9, flatten the 9 again. Walk into the 3rd of C7. Again, that country thing. 2nd, flat 3rd, 3rd. Really useful stuff. Okay, so now you've got G7. Resolving to C7. Then I play, what do I play? Okay, so interesting. Here we're thinking F7, major 3rd, augmented 5th, walk down to the 5th of B flat. And then we do some really nice stuff within that C shape again, just like we did earlier on the F. It's really worth exploring this shape. I mean, there's just so much good stuff in there. lovely stuff. Okay, so there's the B flat. Okay, then we have the B flat minor again. We play this. Another kind of Djangoism. I love this. B flat minor triads. But then bringing in some interesting stuff like the flat 7, the 6th. Essentially it's the same thing as a G minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio. We're back to F after that, where again we're going to navigate between F, C7 and then back to F. On the F here I'm really just sort of honing in on some of the arpeggios that you could find within an F major scale. Common thing to do is play the arpeggio off the 3rd of the scale. So if you think in F, 3rd is A, the arpeggio off that note would be the A minor 7. Then I'm going to an F major triad, but with the major 7 on top, walking down to the 6th. How am I timing it? Yeah, with a triplet. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and 1. Then coming down straight away on that C7, meeting it with an augmented triad. C augmented, root, sharp 5, 3rd, root. Little walk down to resolve to the 6th of the F, which is always a nice note to finish a phrase on if you're playing swing music. Try and aim for those 6s quite often. And then we do another Charlie Christian type of thing where we're just fishing around for what we can get. Again, thinking about things like on F, minor to major 3rd, resolving to the root. Common blues stuff. Okay, then on A minor 7 flat 5, what do we do? This is something, again, that is common of players like Django, where they won't necessarily outline every single chord change. They'll just sort of cut the fat away and see what they're left with. Okay, so what do we have here? We've got A minor 7 flat 5, going to D7. That looks a lot like a 2-5 to me. So 2-5 in G minor. We just don't go to the G minor. So a lot of players, like Django for example, might ignore the 2 in a 2-5. Especially at high tempo where these things are flying by. Instead of doing a bar of A minor 7 flat 5 and a bar of D7, just think 2 bars of D7. So we're thinking D7, D major triad, minor to major 3rd again, flat 7, so we're thinking D7 arpeggio, which of course contains the triad, flat 9, sharp 9. Then just descend a simple D7 arpeggio. Okay, then we do the next 2 bars. We've got A7 going to D minor. So that's a 5-1 to D minor. Over the A7, we're going to play this. Which again is really just an A7 arpeggio, right? We do a little chromatic rundown. We add a flat 9 in, ahead of the root, flat 7. D minor now lands on the next beat, so we play the minor 3rd of that. A bit of melodic minor again. So the whole phrase there. Okay, now we have B flat, where we go back to basics and we just think, okay, what can we grab? B flat 6, we can be thinking, so why not grab the 6? And just try and follow that line, the 4 minor, resolving to 1. So here's B flat major 6, major 3rd, now minor 6, minor 3rd, resolving to the 3rd of F. Then finishing with that typical F6-9 kind of sound, but with the 5th in the bass also. Okay, so I really hope that wasn't too messy and long-winded. It's quite hard to sort of break this stuff down into such short segments. But do ask away if you've got any questions, and I'll definitely answer them. And let me know if there's any other subject that you'd like me to cover. It's always good to have ideas for future videos. Enjoy working through that stuff. It is so fun to play. For me, swing music has so much energy and humor and playfulness to it. It's really addictive stuff, and I love exploring it. Do use the link in the description if you want to get the transcription for all of this and use this as a companion video. It would make things much easier, I guess, to work through. And thank you for your support so far. You know, people who have purchased transcriptions, people who comment and like and subscribe. It really makes it all worthwhile. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.